Hello, as we continue on our Bible study in John's Gospel, we're in John chapter 13, and I want to continue in the last little bit of this. Last time we finished off on verse 31, where Jesus has said the Son of Man is glorified and God is glorified in him. I want to pick up in verse 33 and just have a look at what Jesus starts to speak to the disciples in this time of transition. And you can look and think, really, on one level, Jesus is bringing this great insecurity to them because of their expectations. On the other hand, he's setting them up for what it's going to be like when he has returned to heaven. And so, yes, there are challenges, but the challenge is to bring out who they are and enable them in that next phase. So Jesus addresses them. He says, in verse 33, he says, "My children, I will only be with you a little longer. You will look for me, just as I told the Jews. So I tell you now, where I am going, you cannot come." Interesting statement. He says, as I was even just saying that, I was just thinking, yeah, that's almost a parallel to Elijah and Elisha, isn't it? Where Elijah got taken up, and Elijah was on one hand desperate to follow, but knew that he had to let Elijah go, and then was persuaded by the prophets to go and find him and say, well, they said, oh, maybe the spirits picked him up and put him somewhere else. And so Jesus is making it clear that time's short. He addresses them as his children, and he says, you look for me, but I'm telling you ahead of time, where I'm going, you cannot come. And that's not the whole picture, is it? But he's laying out and saying, I need to leave you behind here because you have something to do. And that theme, we'll pick up again, I think, in John 14. Then he gives them a new command. And though it's a new command, it's the old command, isn't it? Though, you could look at the 10 commandments. Really, this is what undergirds them all. New command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. So he's speaking into the group of disciples. He's saying, hey, guys, this is the key. This is the key. Love one another. He said, this is the way you do it. In the same way I have loved you, you love one another. He's actually beginning to open up the whole theme that emerges later on, that is with the body of Christ. And as one body, we need to love each other and care for each other. And it's one of the big challenges for us as believers, but it's an important challenge that we take up. It's not, I will love those that I find lovely. It's actually a very clear, love one another, care for one another, be a demonstration in how you are to one another. And what will be the impact? People will know that you are my disciples. In other words, be an imitator of Christ. And as you do that, people will know who you're imitating. So Jesus is setting up the disciples here. He's putting in that core message. He's saying, I'm going, but you need to stay. Now, when you look at the order of that, Jesus starts with I'm going, then he says, right, this is about loving one another. What's Simon Peter's response? Simon Peter is hung up on the first bit. It's almost like he goes, I get the love bit. We'll love one another. I love you, Jesus. I'll do exactly that. I'm the ultimate follower of Jesus, that sort of feeling. And then he asks the question. He says, Lord, where are you going? He hasn't understood at this point that Jesus is going to die and be resurrected to life. He's looking in a natural way, isn't he? He's been following Jesus everywhere for 3 years, so why would he stop now? That's his line, that's his mentality. And it says, Jesus' reply, where I'm going, you cannot follow now, but you will follow later. Put that together with the previous one. where I am going, you cannot come. You can't follow now, but you can follow later. Jesus is talking eternally there, that he's going to heaven and Peter will come, but not now. Peter still doesn't understand this. He says, why can't I follow you now? I will lay down my life for you. In other words, if you die, I die. So if you die and go to heaven, I'm dying and going to heaven too. Yeah, that's the essence of what he's saying. And Jesus' answer is, will you really lay down your life for me? Very truly, I tell you, before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times. Imagine that being in, Peter's situation. He's being true to himself when he says, I'm willing to lay down my life for you. He's not bragging and making something up. He's talking from his gut. And Jesus is saying, hey, there's something deeper going on here. He said, I'll tell you the truth. Basically, before the morning, you will disown me 3 times. That must have been difficult for Peter. That must have been confusing for Peter. Now, just looking at this, I think the takeaway for us from it, is we can make big statements about faith. We can make big statements about what we'll do and how we'll live. But the reality is, in life, the heart gets triggered at different times. And some areas we may live well, other areas we may make mistakes and get things wrong. And the important thing is when we do that, we realign ourselves. And in our realignment, with God, we do that with a humility. We look for his forgiveness. By the way, it's not a difficult thing. When I say it like that, it sounds like really work hard for that. No, it says that we approach the throne of grace, and there we find grace and mercy in our time of need. There's a place of forgiveness that's been set up for us. So, I just think the thing we can learn is that humility. We live day to day with a humility before God. It's by his grace, by his love, by his mercy that we're able to do that, and that we don't forget that. And it's like in that moment, Peter has flipped into his own strength, his own ability. He's been genuine, but Jesus is saying, hey guys, hey Peter, there's something that's going to need to be peeled away and uncovered here. Now, I don't want to go into the next bit fully because it stands on its own, but the first line in John chapter 14, see, Peter has taken that difficult statement and Jesus comes straight in. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. I don't want to develop that now, but though Jesus is challenging, underneath, he's speaking peace and life. You see, I think in life, transition is one of the hard things for all of us. Big transitions, little transitions, transitions to jobs, transitions, as you grow up, getting married, having children, changing job. Sometimes things go wrong and, marriages don't work out. There's transition. Promotions at work is transition. Changing church is transition. And moving area, all sorts of, areas. Death and loss is transition. Children leaving home is transition. And those moments of challenge is where we need to take in, that statement. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in me. Trust also in God. And that is what Jesus is bringing to the disciples in their moment. Transition. I'm going to stop there because I want to pick up on John 14 in a more complete way next time. Bless you. Have a wonderful day. Look forward to being with you soon. Bye for now.